Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 43. Tonight we're looking at Rage Against the Machine's second album, Evil Empire. What's going on?
Know your enemies!
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I'm pumped up for this one. I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Ready for this?
Whose pick was this?
That was mine.
This was Flip. Yep.
Okay. And why? I mean, like, we were all fans back in the day, but, like, it just pops in your head? Or
No, like, I've always loved this album. Like, I like it the most out of all the Rage Against the Machine's album. Like, it's
Okay.
my favorite one. Yeah, so. And just overall, not even just because it's my favorite Rage album, it's just overall a fantastic album. So, yeah. That's why it's on the docket tonight.
Cool.
Nice, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about sharing this first before we get any deeper. Make sure that you share that on all the platforms. We want to keep this going, like we said. So let's talk about more Rage. Let's talk about more Tool. Let's talk about more Pink Floyd. We need to do that with your help. So share it. Thank you very much. What are we drinking?
Beer.
The theme of this podcast.
Beer.
That's good. I'm glad that we've got beer
yeah.
because I want to see what you're drinking. So why don't you start?
Okay, I found a really pretty cool can. It's a fresh hop IPA from Phillips Brewing, and it's called Green Reaper.
Oh,
So it's got this really cool Grim Reaper, but he's made out of hops. Now, once again, going back to our multiple discussions on IPA, I can't tell the difference between a lot of them, but I enjoy them all. So once again, we really need to get someone on here to do
fresher?
a little more explaining. It tastes like a really kick-ass IPA. So I can't explain it. I mean, and like I said before, I mean, I've gone through how many different breweries and how many different, angles of this IPA, and they all just kind of taste the same, but amazing. But just kind of the same.
you need maybe set up like a flight for yourself in your own house and just buy a bunch of IPAs and line them up in a row and just taste them all and see if you can notice the difference and see if you can pick your favorite.
I think that would be difficult. That's a great idea, but they're all so sharp that it's not like going from a lager to a stout to an IPA to a light ale to a. Like, there are a lot of big differences, but when you go into IPA to IPA to IPA to IPA,
IPA is a tough one for sure because it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
But I always find that, like, if you just read a little bit about it, and it could be like a placebo effect, and it's like, well, this one's supposed to taste minerally because it's an East Coast and blah blah blah. I get a little bit of an idea in your head of what you're supposed to be tasting, and then see if you taste it. But I've definitely, there's some IPAs that aren't as good as others that I find, and I stick to some that I think taste really good. But
there's not one that I have not enjoyed yet. So, and it just comes down to which one has a stronger alcohol content, I guess. That's the only thing that I can tell the difference between the cans is the art and the alcohol percentage. Most of them, they're anywhere between 6.5 and 9.2, I think is the highest that I found.
Yeah, they're usually pretty high.
But other than that, I can't tell the difference, but they're all good. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. You got anything else?
Well, I've got one other IPA going back to the Parallel 49 India Pale Ale Filthy Dirty IPA.
Nice.
straight can too.
Now, this is another one that I've been drinking for, I don't know, probably a good 2 years now. About a year or so. And recently they've put out, which I have not been able to find yet, it is the Filthier, Dirtier IPA. And I don't know
That's awesome.
what's the difference other than the pig on the picture of the pig on the can has a ton of extra tattoos and piercings, and like the Steve Kitchen, he came out with another, even he outdid himself, I guess, going from the original dirty IPA or filthy IPA to the dirtier, filthier. But
You got to put lipstick on the
like I
pig
said,
on
I
the
can't
second
find it,
one.
so-
That's what you got to do.
yeah,
No kidding.
that'll be the third one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dane, what you got?
At the moment, I'm working on a Lighthouse Brewing limited release Anchors Away Wee Heavy. Yeah, it's a strong beer. I thought this was a what do you call like a beer brewed in like a barrel. I'm having a mind fart right now. It's been a hell of a week.
Casket,
a
casket
Scotch ale.
aged. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was, but maybe it isn't. It just says a wee heavy beer. So I think it is a Scotch ale because of the wee heavy, but it's quite good. Last week he was like, I'm going to go to the beer store and buy beers for you. And I was like, okay, cool. And she's like, I'm just going to choose the cans that I think are the coolest ones. I was like, well, you can't go wrong with that because most of the time the cool beers with the cool cans are the tastiest ones. So, and she got me this one, this Anchors Away, and I really like it.
Cool.
Lighthouse is good.
Yeah.
That's good. There's quite a few that have been good from there. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
blurry.
it's a 7%, and yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
I'm gonna have to transfer you some funds and get you to send me a mix pack of just the stuff that I can't get here.
Oh,
'Cause
sure,
there's a
man.
lot of
I
stuff
mean,
that you can get, man, that we can't find here. I don't know. I mean, you keep coming up with a lot of stuff that just are not in our stores.
Yeah, none of mine.
and you know what? It's funny we're running out of milk and eggs and toilet paper, but
But we got beer.
beer is aplenty. There's no problem with that right
Yeah.
now.
It's coming from it's coming from Alberta and from Saskatchewan. Those are wide open right now.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then next on the docket is a Suck It Cancer Pale Ale
Suck it.
by Backcountry.
Their cans are
Brewing.
always so great, man. The names
Yeah.
that they come up
Yeah.
with, they're always so rad.
Yeah, I've been eyeing this one for a while, and I don't know. I think we've all been affected by cancer in some way or another, and I thought, yeah, I might as well. And it goes to there's a charity. I think that the proceeds from the sales go to a charity. And just reading here, this was in April, but they raised $15,000 for the BC Cancer Foundation, so that's awesome.
Cool.
Nice.
And they did this. I thought I had it here. It was for an artist who passed away that I'm not sure if they worked with or not, but his name was Chili Tom or Thom. Tom.
Okay.
It was a local artist who succumbed to cancer. So in 2016. So I think that was the inspiration for this. So yeah, thought I'd pick that one up, and then got a Yellow Dog Play Dead IPA. Been really enjoying Yellow Dog these days, and I have also got a Yellow Dog Squirrel Chaser Hazy Pale Ale. So I'm stocked, ready to go.
It's nice, man. I can't get any of that Yellow Dog. I've never seen that.
You can't.
No.
Oh, that's too bad. It's delicious. It's so good.
No, and really any of those, the majority, unless it's big, right? The Vancouver Island Brewing Companies, the smaller ones, we can't get any of that.
Really?
I don't see any of that.
Yeah.
In our stores, but I got okay. So let me start first, Mike. What was the beer that you had the bad review for?
That was the Parallel 49, their watermelon sour. Did you get it? Yes. Okay.
All right.
I need to know what you think of this.
I've been drinking it
Because
right now.
I feel
I'm
really
drinking it as
bad.
we
I
speak,
feel
and
I feel bad about panning it. I don't like to pan anything that has Steve Kitchen's art on it.
Well,
but
it's a great can. Yeah,
something
like
about
that's,
it, man.
That's a fantastic can too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as
Watermelon
bad
warrior.
as you made it out to be. It's it's drinkable. It's a one and done for sure. Maybe I could have even done with a short can on this.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
kind of pounded it rather than having a tall of it. But
Right.
it's all right. But I see where you're coming from. It's not good. The sour. I just don't like sours. I've given them a try. I've given them a fair shake. I've tried packs of them. I can't do them. I can't do them in the summertime. I don't care about them. I don't know. I'm out. I think.
I've found a handful of great ones, but they're hit or miss, definitely.
Yeah, it just feels like
Those
I don't
to
know.
me-
Sorry, dude.
Those to me all taste the same.
The sours.
And they don't. Yeah, I mean, I could sit there and like really figure out what I'm tasting, but to me, it's just sour. It's just like sour candies. They'll taste like sour candies. I'm not gonna like distinguish between fucking cherry and like strawberry. They just taste sour to me. So, I mean, that's watermelon, right?
Watermelon, yeah, it's Watermelon Warrior. Yeah, 9th anniversary beer. It showed up, and I was like, I think that's the one that Mike thought tasted like garbage, so I got to try that one.
Yep.
Give
Yeah.
it a roll. So
No, you said vomit.
Vomit was the word.
Yes.
And once again, I don't want to knock it because I enjoy every other offering, but that one is just I don't know. And like I said, I had two back to back tall boys. I really tried.
couldn't do it.
It wasn't one and done. I tried and it didn't work. So,
Well, I'm
but
gonna
that doesn't say that our listeners won't enjoy it.
Nope.
So try it. You might dig it. So yeah.
If you like sours, it's really good for a sour.
And if you do try it and you agree on my review of it, let us know.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
curious.
Yeah.
Curious.
Well-
Find us on Instagram. IGS.
I'm going to wash that down at the end with another Parallel 49 offering, which I haven't seen before. This is a fresh release. This is Subnautica.
Oh,
I've
that
seen the
looks
can.
new.
Yeah, it is. It's
Hey?
relatively new. I've seen the can or the artwork, but I have not been able to find it in my stores.
Yeah, so this is a authentic Belgian wit beer. Wit
Oh,
beer,
nice.
featuring
Wit beer.
notes of citrus, coriander, lemon peel, and a
Love coriander.
Oh yeah, and a spring clove character. 4.9%, and I'm gonna give that a try after I hit that. The Watermelon Warrior.
Beauty.
So, two and a great can. Fantastic. It looks like a.
Can we see that?
Yeah, it looks like a guy wearing like the old helmet going into like Jacques Cousteau, and then he's.
Jacques
But he's got
Cousteau.
like
helmet
an inner tube around, like a duck around his body, and he's got like hops in a little basket there. So he's like at the bottom of the sea, kind of like picking up hops. So,
Yep.
and last but not least, I'm gonna go with my IPA is the It'll Be Fine Southern Hemisphere IPA from Driftwood Brewing Company.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like
I love
got a
Driftwood.
really cool wrap on it, just like this angelfish, and then this really creepy looking. I don't know what that is. Got a sea monster, yeah, and then a little like kind of Nemo looking
can see the
fish on it.
teeth.
So, this has got Galaxy and Muter hops from down under, which I'm assuming come from Australia. And yeah, it's peachy
Down
and
under
tropical.
where?
Yeah, and yeah, Driftwood
Right on.
in Victoria, and that is 6.5%. So there it goes along the strong IPA, stronger
That's
IPA.
how it
Nice.
goes, man.
Driftwood just opened up a sweet tap house.
Oh yeah,
It looks
in
awesome.
Victoria.
or a tap room, I should say. Yeah, I just saw like a thing on Instagram. The tap house here in Comox was giving them a little bit of props, but
Very cool.
it looks awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I'll have to check it out.
Let's get into the evil empire.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I guess my first question jumping into this is,
Yes.
was this album your first introduction to Rage Against the Machine or your second introduction?
Second.
Second.
And the first album, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I love it. It's front to back, but there's lots of things on there now that I would skip, like just going past it because I've heard it so many times that it feels like I kind of go to the deeper tracks on that album. But it feels like Evil Empire, I can still listen to those tracks no matter how many times I've heard them. I can listen to Bulls on Parade anytime, anywhere, right? Like that is, it's just so good on so many levels. And the start of the album, the cover of the album, the ending of the album, the picture on the inside of the cover of the album, all of these things kind of just created this this picture for me at age 15, 16 years old, that I mean, I remember when I saw that image when I bought the CD and opened it up, and it was kind of maybe the first time I had ever seen them all maybe posed together at that point. And it's such a cool picture with like everybody's got their head down except for Zach De La Roca, who's just spitting fire, right? And it's just kind of got that sepia tone, and they're in this little tight spot, little room, right? It's just so cool. It's just so cool. So, you know, that kind of sets the tone when you open up the CD and you buy it for the first time, and then when you put it on, it just that first track. I always said that was, if I ever played Major League Baseball, that would have been my walking up to bat song. Please welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, Bulls on Parade has got to be one of the most like punch you in the face with your fucking boot songs out there. It just like People of the Sun is it People of the Sun?
Yep.
The first track. It's a banger. It's awesome. And then they just crank it up like 10 notches.
Oh, it's the crack of the snare drum at the very start of Bulls on Parade.
Yeah, it's just what bang. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And then the flow, that's the thing about like Rage. They're funky. And the thing is, like, this is what was really tripping me out while I was listening to obviously like Evil Empire and then everything else, is that funk is sexy.
Yep.
Rage Against the Machine is not sexy. They are angry. They are motivated. They are, you know, making you think about stuff and the man and fuck you. I won't do what you tell me.
Yep.
But they're funky. And I was just like, well, maybe the definition of funk hasn't been completely defined.
I think the big part of it is going from the blend of the hip hop side of things. So you go back to the early days of hip hop where all it was sampling old funk beats because that's what they had. So you transfer these old funk beats from these old albums that the DJs were doing in the 70s and 80s, and that influences the drumming and the bass of Rage. And then you can add a little more of the interesting guitar sounds and the, you know, blend of I guess hints of hardcore with like energy power with, you know, Zach De La Roca. So and how raw and just how raw and straight to the point his energy always is. So
well, yeah, and Mike, you and I have talked about before how, you know, we both agreed that we think he's a very underrated MC overall in the history
Oh
of
man,
MCs.
he's when I have a conversation with a buddy of mine at work, and he's about 10 years younger than me, but he's passionate about hip hop, and just getting into conversations with him, and he always comes around. It's like, who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time? Who's the GOAT? And the it always changes, and I have my tops at fives, and he has his tops, but the more I think about it, I mean, Zach De La Rocha has to be so high up. He has more elements than others do.
More.
And he can scream.
Oh man, yeah.
And he's got a metal scream.
Yep.
That is like up there with like Maynard.
Yep.
And his lyrics are off the charts, right? Like if you go actually pull those apart and start digging in, there is so much going on there and so much for you to learn
Deep.
that you don't even know about that
You don't even know.
yeah, you better just take out the encyclopedias and go back to the old days, because
Yep.
Or, I mean, like not even history books, because he's talking about shit that wasn't even written. He's talking about shit you should know.
Yeah.
He's telling you, get out there and understand.
yeah.
The man is against
And
Not,
if you
not,
go,
not the man that's hosting the podcast, but the man that's
oh no, we need that man.
messing with the.
We need that man. Yeah, I mean, and what do you expect, right? I mean, you have, Tom Morello, who is, the son of an activist mother, a Kenyan diplomat. I mean, this guy has got it in him. Zach De La Rocha's, relatives have fought in the Mexican Revolution. I mean,
Black Panthers.
Black
was a huge
Panthers.
part of
Like,
his.
there's lots of connections here and lots of, I found a Rolling Stone, just one quote on the album when it came out, and they said it was a quote, a declaration of war. And I thought that was awesome. Like, that's exactly what this is, right? Like, it just comes and smacks you on the face. And going back to what you said, Dane, too, about being funky, I think of like You're the Boomerang at the very last track, right? And it's just like bow, 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 bow.
Just to end an album like that, or with that track, it's just
Wind Below. And then there's like, I don't want to skip around, but Roll Right. I remember, being younger and just listening to this song on repeat. And he's got this sort of like, he's got the tone turned way down on his guitar or something. It just sounds like an old kind of like hardcore punk rock guitar in a different context altogether. Just like the opening guitar bit on Roll White just like puts goosebumps on my arms still. It's like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but it doesn't have a metal sort of like tone to it.
Yeah.
It's like this,
the edge
like,
is there, but
punk rock,
totally.
punk rock kind of tone, which is just amazing, and it lends to the hip hop aspect of things, which is really amazing.
Well, and
I
you
think,
get the bass that's like ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
It's so funky, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just cooking underneath that, and then you got going with that guitar tone. You also have those like squeals that he does on the feedback kind of squeals.
Well,
that
he's
he
got
does.
his Digitech whammy, which gets you all those kind of crazy squealy pterodactyl sounds, and then for the most part, Tom Morello is a guitar player. I think he's very underrated guitar player. From some of the guitar solos that he puts out, for the most part, when you listen to his rhythm, it's like, anybody could kind of probably, but he invented a style of, where he is not necessarily the guitar player for the band, but he's the DJ. So he's like the turntablist in most respects, but he can carry it from having some cool grooves, riff wise, to being the turntablist side element to it, to having these really intricate guitar solos that
Yeah.
You know, I've talked to people and it's like, oh, well, he's not a good guitar player. Anybody can play that. All he's doing is scratching on the strings. But when you dig into some of his guitar solo work, it's like, that is solid.
It sort of transcends the generic guitar solo because like what you find on this album that you don't find on the first one is these soundscapes, right? Like somewhere in the beginning, after the first or the second track, like there's this weird kind of noise going on, and it sort of like continues on throughout, like in between his sort of metal riffs or grooves or whatever. But he kind of creates these samples, like you were talking about, these interesting soundscapes, and like some of them get to a point where it's like, all right, this isn't a poppy album. This is making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like he takes you out there and then he brings you back in with like a fucking solid groove.
Yep.
And that's what I love.
Yeah.
It's like
and you put it perfectly, Dane, because it's the feeling of being uncomfortable, and there's so many sounds on this album that make you feel uncomfortable. I think of like that the grinding one at the beginning. Boom, 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 and then it just kicks in, right? But it's so off-putting, that first part, that guitar sound, and it's just like, it's just grinding, it's just like gears, right? But it creates that, it's done on purpose, right? Like that's what this album is just like you said, it's a punch in your face. It's meant to make you feel something, and it does it well.
And it's a unique sound. I mean, there's nobody else that sounds like Rage. Not really. Like there's a lot of bands that may have tried to, but none of them sound like Rage. And being an original, it's not even an original, but like a originator, I guess. Like just starting that sound when they first came out. You know, you come from them just being underground to, as soon as they start getting into, you know, popular big festival shows, you know, when I was reading a bunch of stories where they would get off the stage at some of these giant festivals, and all the guitar players just crowd around Tom Morello because they're like, how do you do that? What are you doing?
Yeah,
what is
what are
this?
you
Because
doing,
they've
man?
never heard that before, and I had never heard anything like that before. And growing up, you know, pursuing and being kind of into original hip hop from the, you know, the sort of start of it, going through that vein into the rock and the metal vein, and hearing someone that's playing guitar like a scratch DJ, like a turntablist, it's just unreal.
And so entertaining to watch, to play the guitar, right?
Yeah.
Like you watch that band in their prime, you know, even like Battle of Mexico City, like those concerts, like it's just like,
that has to be the best concert.
yeah.
Like just the best venue for a Rage. I mean, just watching that crowd in Mexico, where, you know, they're living a lot of this stuff, and just to be able to vent that in, like, just watching the crowd was more entertaining than watching the stage of that video. It's unreal.
Yeah, and they had like those pillars in like the middle of the yeah. It's such a crazy scene, you know, and I wonder what that would be like now, you know, in today's day and age. But you know, I wanted to read you guys this quote because I grabbed this quote talking about, this is Tom Morello talking about Evil Empire when it came out, and he said, when you open your eyes to what is going on in the world, you realize that a sort of moderate medicine is no good to cure an extreme illness.
Yep.
And that's what this album is supposed to be, right? Like, moderate medicine is not going to work, so it has to be extreme. And that's what this album is.
Exactly. Well, and it's an interesting progression too, because when you go back to the debut album, where yes, I know they've got the Killing in the Name of and Bomb Track,
man.
and you know, songs like that it's so weird because I keep going back to that as my favorite Rage album.
Yeah,
just for the rawness and when like right out of the gate, you can tell that it was recorded, live on the floor with the
Yeah.
energy.
Oh, yeah.
With it's not like they were sitting in a studio and tweaking things and layering things. It was just wham, here
It's
it is,
raw as fuck.
and every song has this purpose to it, and then you go to Evil Empire, and that's all there, but it's, I don't know, it's weird. It's not like it was an evolution. But it was,
For me,
but the
it was
power
like-
was still there, and the message was still there.
Absolutely, yeah. It felt like they unpacked the first album in Evil Empire, because the first one was like, they were a precursor to nu metal, right? Like they did everything that people kind of like scoff at these days, like rap metal, nu metal, but they did it. They did it so well, and it was one of the first instances of it. They just sort of like owned this sound, and the first one is really, it's super. I mean, as far as I remember, like the cover all the way to like, every single song was just something I had never experienced before ever. It was so aggressive and so raw. But I think the second one, they're able to unpack it. And to really express like a lot of the lyrical content that like Zach De La Rocha is singing, rapping about, and then Tom Morello, and especially like I think the bass player Tom as well.
Tim Comerford.
Tim.
Right? Yeah. He's a lot more prevalent in the second album as well.
The bass is unbelievable in the
Yeah.
second album, and that's why I think
It is-
and that's what makes I think it funky, right? Like I think
Just the
yeah.
rhythm
Yeah.
section in general. When you look at Tim and Brad, how solid they are, and how locked in they are.
Yeah. Have you guys listened to his other groups, Tim Comerford's groups?
No, I haven't.
No.
No.
What else does he have?
Oh, he's in a band called Future User.
Okay.
And he sings lead vocals in both of these bands, but so like Future User is the guy on drums, a guy on like programming and like keyboards and stuff like that. So it's kind of like it's definitely worth you checking it out. And his other band is called Whack Rat.
Cool.
Yeah, and
Cool.
it's another 3-piece, and it is totally different too. That one's a little bit more aggressive, a little heavier. So yeah, check that one out. It's
Very
good.
cool.
I'll have to check that out.
as
Future
for
User Story 2
offshoots-
has Brendan O'Brien is playing guitars on Future User. So the guy that produced this album, Evil Empire, is on. Yeah, he plays guitars on Future User too. So
Interesting. I got a question. What did you boys listen to after this?
Like from the start, or from like this last couple weeks?
Like, sure. I mean, like after listening to Evil Empire, was there something that you kind of like naturally got into? Like you're just like, was there something afterwards that you probably would not have listened to as a result of listening to Evil Empire?
At the time when it first came out, not really.
No, like this week.
Oh, this week.
Like-
No.
in the
I was
now,
thinking
man. I'm
just
talking the now.
Yeah.
I mean, when it first came out, there was nothing comparable, but the genre, I guess, quote unquote genre, I guess, was, the new metal thing kind of spawned from that, and then it became the heavier side of things, Korn and eventually Slipknot and that sort of thing. But
Biscuit.
actually, they're you listen to their first or their newest album.
Love it. Let's listen to it
Limp
today,
Bizkit
man.
still sucks.
Fucking love it.
Yeah, there's a couple good tracks on there that are really good, but I still love their first album. But after this, I mean,
West
with
Portland.
these last couple weeks here, I've just been going through all of the albums over and over again, and I think the majority of them I've almost over listened to over the years.
Right.
because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so obsessed and so involved in consuming as much Rage Against the Machine as I could since
I'm right there
the
with you.
first
Yeah.
time that I heard it. But yeah, I didn't really get far off that path. I mean, other than a couple well, what was it now? Almost 10 years that One Day as a Lion came out.
So good, man.
And that, so it's Zach De
What's
La
that?
Roca,
Oh,
Zach De La
dang.
Roca,
Oh,
and the drummer
I was trying to
for
find
Mars
his solo
Volta.
stuff. I couldn't find anything.
Zach De La Roca
He-
and the drummer from Mars Volta
Yeah.
got together and
What?
did One Day as a Lion.
4 songs, man.
And
That's all you get.
Yeah, just a quick little EP,
What?
and it is so fucking
Oh,
good.
dude,
It's
tonight.
not on Spotify.
Oh, it's gotta be. It's gotta
It's
be.
there. It's there.
I've got it on disc. I bought it on disc.
Oh,
So good.
It's
And it's a super quick hit, but it's so good.
Oh, Dane, do yourself a favor tonight.
Wow.
Just plug it in tonight. I wish I was you and I hadn't heard it before. I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
well, thank God my baby's sleeping.
Oh, dude.
so
Yep,
Dude,
One Day as a Lion. It's on
I'll
here.
have to put some headphones on.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it like
on
a
here.
match the gas? Just
Oh,
like
Just listen
it's
to it. It's
talk
so
about
good,
punch in
man.
your face. Here we go. Yes.
5 tracks.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's go.
all right. Yeah, I was trying to find like some like De La Roca, like his because he did his own thing after, right? Like
did,
he
yeah, and it was
basically
really
quit
good.
for a decade.
He
Yeah,
didn't do
well,
much.
I-
Like he did that like Run
no.
the Jewels stuff lately, and he
Run the
did this
Jewels,
One
that
Day
was
as
the
a
other one, yeah.
Lion, and he did a couple like special appearances here on different albums, but overall like he didn't do anything else. And then they got back together again, and I don't know what they're doing now. I'm assuming they're probably playing now.
No, they're waiting, I guess. They were supposed to have a world tour in 2020.
And then
But-
COVID fucked that up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny you said Run the Jewels because I like after this, and that was probably the algorithm. Like I hadn't listened to Run the Jewels for a while, but he's on the 2020 release, which is good. And then after that,
what's this?
I started listening to some MF Doom, and I haven't listened to MF Doom in a while.
Rest in peace with that one, man.
Yeah.
No doubt. But it's a nice like nightcap after listening to super duper aggressive like
it's just to chill you out.
Rage.
Yeah.
Put on some MF Doom and it's just like having a little bit of fucking brandy and like taking a little
I got into
It's
a lot
nice.
of MF Doom and a lot of Danger
Yeah.
Doom. MF Doom and Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse.
That was a really cool one.
I'll check that one out. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff because it still has like the I mean MF Doom is kind of aggressive, kind of evil, but it's really watered down and fun. It's kind of like that Spider-Man music that I sent you guys.
Yeah,
Really
totally.
reminds me of that.
It's very comic booky.
Yeah, I love it. Where Rage is just like a little bit. It's almost too real.
Oh yeah, like it's a deep dive into that kind of stuff, right? Like for sure. Yeah, like you don't listen to it just kind of for fun. It feels like, like you're
Not
yeah,
anymore.
no,
No.
like this is real life now. It feels like, there's so many things that are still transferable today, but
Well, it's not even. Yeah, just it's an ongoing thing. It'll never change. So you can't take the power back. It's too deep.
yeah.
Yeah, but go
I was
ahead,
just
Mike.
gonna say the best song in this album. My favorite song on one of my favorite albums. Go ahead. What have you got?
Down Rodeo.
Excellent choice, man. That's my.
That's
pick.
it.
How does that one go?
Oh,
again?
it just comes right in the back. Like
Hold
it,
on.
it starts out with the guitar. It kicks right in. Like just kicks right in.
Oh, right.
You know that one.
So good. That's
Hold on.
that's my top one on the whole album.
Yeah, this one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that song. So good.
This to me is one of the more different songs on the album. This one stands out most definitely. And it's got like a good groove to it. A lot of these were just sort of like Vietnam is like, it starts off really sad and you're just like, oh man. Okay. But then it's got that real fucking like funky beat to it.
Yeah.
But
You know what that?
yeah,
Vietnam. Can I just jump in on Vietnam? I found this out.
Yeah.
You guys maybe will find this interesting, but they because he says, what does he say there? What's the line at the end? Like, turn out the devil sound, the sound of Vietnam. What the U.S. used to like use these gigantic loudspeakers, and they used to. Have you guys heard this before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't heard this, but like they used to like blare this like distorted like Vietnamese speaking guy, and like all this whole like freaky sounds and stuff like that. He used to blast this in the countryside to like freak
mental games.
Yeah, just
man.
like psychological warfare, just to like freak them out. Yeah, I didn't know that was what it was about. So that was my.
So they did this on who was
Americans like during the
recipient?
like Vietnam War, like to
Vietnam
the
War,
Vietnamese,
yeah.
and they just like crank it in like the countryside, and it's like the scariest sounding. It's like Blair Witch sounding kind of stuff, like just
That's fucked
There's
up.
so many levels of war, man.
yeah. What's your favorite? What's your pick?
What is it?
Fucking roll
Yeah.
right. Roll right. Yeah.
I remember listening to that song, man. Computers 10, Mr. Primus class. I sit in the back and I had
Computers 10.
I slipped that disc into the PC and put my headphones on, and there we go.
The two-speed
Yeah.
You're
two-speed
just angry
CD
as
and your
fuck playing. What did you play in Computers 10? What did you do in Computers 10? Typing?
I think so. I don't even remember actually, but I'm
Was
pretty
this-
sure that CD had like some type of like CD-ROM capability, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
So,
That was huge
Okay.
back in 1991, 92, 93.
yeah.
A little hit.
Mike, I wanted to ask you because there's a like a rare edition of this that if you signed up for the whatever fan club, I think you got a CD with like a black and white upside down American flag. And for some reason, I remember I thought you had this. Did you have this like rare version of this album?
Me, no. I
you
never
remember-
did. No.
No?
I
Okay.
no. I never did.
Maybe I saw this in like Southside Sound or something like that. But
Sounds
like,
awesome though.
there's a version of this where apparently it's like just a black and white American flag upside down, and only people who signed up with like the Rage Against the Machine fan, like this is when you still could like sign
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
and get shit mailed to you,
Awesome.
and that's what you would get.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I've just got my regular one, and that's one of the ones I did keep before I got rid of my CDs. I purged all the ones that I didn't want, and I figure, you know what, I can always access them online at some point.
Although there's a lot of songs that we had on cassette and CD that you can't get anymore because they've changed the lyrics to not offend and to
That's true.
Yeah, man, I still
Like
got my
they
original Mike Tyson Punch Out on Nintendo, so
nice.
yeah, no Mr. Dream. I got the real deal. I got Mike Tyson at the end.
Yep.
Don't alter that. Yeah, no, and you know what? I don't have any Rage Against the Machine on vinyl, and that's something I should see if I can grab. I wonder how easy those are to find. I'm sure reissues are a piece of cake, but
Yeah. You don't roll that way, so
heck no, man. You know how that is. Not a chance. No way. I'm not getting any of that. But I'm sure they came out with both releases. Like, you know, I'm sure that at the time they came out with something on vinyl, I would think. It seemed like the right time, 95, 96, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my other question. What the fuck happened?
What do you mean?
Well, all I read is like there was some creative differences. I mean, obviously they were, there was a lot of, um, it was a high energy band, and I would assume what comes with that is people with a lot of maybe egos or artistic views, but they only made 4 LPs.
Well,
3 LPs and 1 EP.
think-
Like they didn't do a lot.
Well, I think the big thing with that was that I think Zach wanted to push it farther, like push the limit farther, and the other guys didn't. Like
Okay.
in the message
In the message.
in the message, I think he wanted to push it harder in the message, and the rest didn't. So he decided to step away.
Right.
Is
Okay.
kind of what I gathered over the years.
Yeah.
So it might be wrong, but that's kind of what I found in my research in the past, probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years of being a fan.
Right.
And I heard too,
'Cause the last
sorry,
album-
go ahead.
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna
Man.
say that I heard too that they were all had like really differing musical tastes, and they said it was very difficult, even during the recording of this album, to like come together and come to a consensus on what they wanted things to sound like. And they said they came from like really different musical backgrounds, and this is just what came out of it, right? So,
Right.
they had a lot of differences. They said in what they thought it should sound like. So I guess from
But-
that
but
side of
then
things,
you-
if I'm into pop music and you're into metal and you're into rap, like perhaps it's difficult for us to all come to a consensus as to what we have.
That
Plus,
doesn't
we
make
have
sense,
like
though. I mean, when you look at-
Zach De La Rocca
yeah.
was trying to push the message over top of all that too. So you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know anymore, man.
but their whole catalog was so in that vein.
Well, yeah.
So to say that it's a musical difference thing, I think it's more of a message difference thing. When you, partially message difference, and partially, okay, we've reached this plateau of financial sales, and I know your whole thing is fighting the man and fighting the power and take the power back, but when you get to this stage where you are getting money, like I can't explain. I don't know how else to explain it. When you go from Rage being Rage with Zach to Audio Slave right afterwards,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that was a massive shift from Rage. Sure, the elements were there, but when you add Chris Cornell, it changed the dynamics completely.
But maybe that was the direction they were like inevitably fucking
Abidi, abidi,
4
abidi,
years.
abidi.
Inevitably like heading. And Zach didn't want any part of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like because Audio Slave is fairly radio friendly.
It's all radio friendly. There's not
Yeah.
one song on that album that you couldn't bring home to, mom and dad at the time and
Hey mom, listen
look
to
at
this.
this list. But if
Barn
you say
dinger.
mom and dad and you're putting out, the debut album of Rage, it's a completely
Yeah.
different world, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess that's what happens a lot of the time when you have something which seemingly is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Something which, I mean, like, I think it's Wind Below. There's one song where there's like a jazz interlude in between like rap rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that Wind Below?
Well, it kind of happens in the year of the Boomerang where he does like the like the individual kind of picking, and then it kicks back
Yeah.
into the
Yeah, so that's the year of the Boomerang.
Yeah.
But that's a cool transition.
so neat.
That's
amazing.
a cool side path.
It's so yeah, and it is. You can see like bits and pieces of whatever. There's Tom Morello, who's like, it seems as though it's like a jazz kind of lick, almost.
Yeah.
But it fits, and it fits because it's so like you don't hear stuff like that. Like you don't hear stuff like that in a rap rock album, but it sort of like grounds you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. And it's unfortunate that they didn't keep going in that direction and exploring those sort of ways of piecing things together, because that's where they came from is hip hop, right? Like taking samples and putting it together in a way that you could speak on top of or rhyme on top of. And like, that's where this album, I think, is like, it is their strongest album. It really showcases like rap, funk, metal, all of the stuff that people look down on and like wave their hand in front of their nose, and like they're just like, you like Limp Bizkit or something? Like, what's wrong with you?
It's coming back, man. There's a lot of young kids that are, well, there's not a lot of original energy from it, but there's a lot of new bands coming out that have that sound, and you can tell are very influenced by it. But
and it's nice to hear. I would say this is, like primarily like a hip hop album.
Definitely.
And like tell me I'm wrong.
definitely, their first
But there's
two, for
samples of
sure.
everything in here, and it works.
Yep.
And it lays the groundwork for like Zach to just fucking rap on.
Well, even Battle of Los Angeles is on. Well, I'm not going to say on par, but it was. They didn't stray.
Yeah.
And the message. I mean, when you go from 1996 to 1999, and that, I think that goes back to why Zach would have left, when you've got 3 albums of pushing a message, and then you get to a point where it's not changing anything. It's not changing lives. I mean, when you go from, okay, I have this huge political social message, to go Bulls on Parade and just anybody that likes heavy music, just, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, with no interest in the actual message of it. It's just a cool thing to say. After 3 albums, it's like, okay, well, we're not changing anything. We're not hitting a vein. We're not starting the revolution that we hoped we could have.
There's a danger of it becoming contrived.
Right. And I think that's why it was shut down, and I think that's why there was such a lag between albums too, where it's like, okay, well, Rage, the first one came out in 92, second one was 96, which was a bit of a span. And then you got 99, and then your next album is a covers album.
Which is a great covers album, though.
It's totally,
It's awesome.
But
and the range that they cover,
yep.
like there's Bob Dylan to like,
Oh, I love that cover. That Maggie's Farm cover is so good.
yeah, it's great.
Anytime I have a bad day at work, it's that I crank that. Can't get over work for Maggie's Farm no more.
Yeah, I think Pistol Grip Pump is probably my favorite track off of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so good. And I went back to all the originals on those like a couple years ago. Just listen to those guys again, and just some really cool versions. The original versions,
Rolling Stones, The Stooges, Springsteen, Cypress Hill. How I Could Just Kill a Man. The original
Who does
one.
that one? What's the original of that one?
Which one? Sorry.
How Could Just Kill a Man?
Cypress Hill. That was off of their first. Release. So good.
What a fucking dark song. I love it.
Good. But they did a great job of that one. I mean, they got some Minor Threat. There's EPMD.
Yeah, EPMD. The
Cause I'm housing. So good. Yeah. It was a great cover album. But yeah,
one of the best actually. When you look at cover albums, like I would say one of the best.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was a good idea. And cover albums are usually not a good idea. Full album of that, like that's usually the end of your career, I think. But and I guess this was too, but but still at the same time, interesting on the it becoming contrived, because that's an interesting way to look at it, because I think that's a good point. Because if you keep just blasting this message all the time, right, it just falls on deaf ears, and I can't expect it to be very easy to play this music every single night to crowds that are just losing their absolute minds. and then getting on the bus and going to the next gig and doing it all again,
Yeah.
right? Like it feels like this.
And you're not changing anything.
What's that? Sorry.
And you're not really making a difference. I mean, you kind of are, but not really.
Yeah, like you're not in
gotta be
sync
exhausting.
performing every night, right? Like you're pouring your heart and soul into this and this political activism. It feels like a protest every single night,
Yep.
and then you're just supposed to get up, go to bed, and do it all again, right? So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this album is a album that shows, if you look at each individual performance, all four of them, the performance of each of them is spectacular, right? The drums, the bass, the guitar, the vocals, all individually are unbelievable, and when you put them all together, that's what makes this the magic that it is, right? So. Yeah, it's just, again, great musicians at the peak of their career all coming together at the same time.
Yeah.
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 Good pick, man.
Solid.
Thanks.
Good pick. Yeah. This is so lovely. Can I say that?
Absolutely. You
Lovely.
can say that.
La,
You
la,
can
la, la,
always
la,
say that
lovely.
word.
So
I feel lovely.
being able to like
Suicidal tendencies.
revisit
Come on.
like these gems, like it was so much fun listening to this, and like I said, probably 10 or 15 times, I don't even know, I just like at work listening to Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, let me look at this spreadsheet. Fucking rally around the family.
Start smashing stuff.
It's funny because Nicole always says I'm never allowed to listen to Rage Against the Machine when I'm driving because I always speed. So I'm never allowed to have it on at the same time, especially when the kids are in the car. So it's a no-no.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank.
Do you think there could ever be another? I mean,
Never.
like, what a stupid question,
Ever.
but like, do you think?
Nope.
No.
Times have changed. It'll never happen. It's a
Let me,
it's a
like,
stitch
let
in
me
time. It'll never happen.
Rephrase that. Like, take out any context with this album or with this band.
Message
Do you
wise.
think there will be? Sorry.
message? Take out the message and
No, the context. So the context is like
yeah,
1990s activism,
Never.
metal, rap. But is there any band, do you think there's potential for someone to like smash a bunch of genres together and
no.
create something that is raw and pure and energetic and, you know, along with a message?
Oh my god, I
The
can't,
media
I can't,
only
I
get
can't
you-
wait. Can you tell me when that happens? Because
The
That
media
sounds
has
really
changed.
Do you
good.
think this was like a?
You know,
do you
when-
think
when-
this was something which was like, you know, like a one of those things that you'll see maybe once in a
That's it.
20, 30, 40, 50, never again kind of scenario?
Never again, because the system has changed so much. The music system has changed. The media, the medium and media has changed so much that no one will ever have a connection to a band like we saw in this last 20 years. It'll never happen again because there's too much. It goes back to our conversation of the top 10. It's attention span, man. It's attention span, and there's too much. There's too much. There's too many options.
Okay.
You know, nobody anymore is, or for the most part, nobody anymore is dedicated enough to an album or to make it change that many people's lives.
Let me put it to you this way. You sent me like a nice YouTube video of them. Like they look like they were still teenagers playing in a record shop.
Yep.
Right? Record sales haven't been as high as they are now for 20 years.
Yep.
They're pressing more records than they ever have in like decades.
Yep.
So Do you think there's potential for record shops selling these records that have a band in there that just wants to fuck shit up
All I can
and
say,
make people listen and have a funky groove at the same time? Do you think there's potential for
all
that?
I can say is I hope so. I truly
Yes.
hope upon hope, wish upon wish. That happens, but I highly doubt it. I'm sure there could be bands out there.
podcast is brought to you by Pessimism.
I'm sure.
Drink it up.
I'm sure I'm
just
sure there's
joking.
bands out there that can be and possibly are doing that, but they're not going to reach the audience that they once did, and that's the problem.
Okay, because it's too.
That's the problem. They're just not going to reach the audience that they used to.
It's too diluted with everything, or do
Just
you think
in general,
that
there's too many things to take on your attention when you've got Instagram and Twitch and Twitter and just all these mediums. Like where do you? Everyone has all these places they consume their media, and it's never going to get to a point where you look at Nirvana, or you look at Rage, or you look at Pearl Jam, or you look at bands like this, or Grateful Dead, or to the point where people follow a band and are obsessed with a band and are committed to a band and are all in. It's just hard to find in this day and age enough people. There are people, but enough people that'll be all in on a project that it would blow up to the point where it would matter.
right? I get you.
So-
I
Did
get
you guys know
It's
that
different.
out of whatever the 90 billion songs that are on Spotify, 25% of them have never been played once?
Yep.
And-
I was reading that the other day.
Yeah, you heard that? And
Yeah,
they have
it's
a
too much.
Forgotify thing you can sign up for, and they'll send you like every day. They'll send you like bands that or groups that have never had a play on Spotify. So maybe that band exists out there already, right?
They just
And
never had
Right.
a play.
On
on
Forgotify.
right? And maybe they're there, but yeah, I don't.
the world,
I
man.
hope that exists. I hope that kind of stuff can exist again, right? Like but I don't think it can transcend like time that way. I don't think it can come out of the mid '90s. I don't think it can transcend that, right? It's the lightning in the bottle cliche, and it's again one of the most probably underrated guitar players and underrated MCs in music history coming together on this album, and I don't think you can ever replicate that or transcend time away from that to make it have that same energy or that same feel again.
Yeah.
I wish, but I don't
No.
think it'll happen.
And it's
You
not.
definitely
it's not the
can't
new
have a
bands.
monk setting himself on fire on your
That
cover
will
of your
not
album
allowed
anymore. That'll
someone
never
will be
happen.
offended, and someone will. They won't understand what you're trying to do, so they'll be offended, and they'll petition, and they'll shut you down before you even had a chance to spread a positive message of change because you were offended by a cover that you didn't understand.
Yeah.
Speaking of the cover of this
yeah.
album, though, of Evil Empire, I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Did you read where that was from? Like where the kid was from?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Communist propaganda.
Yeah, it was like crime. It was a crime buster. It was a character called Crime Buster from the 1940s, 1950s, and he had a C on his shirt, and they switched it to the E. But it was drawn after this kid, and they they interviewed the kid again for like the 25th anniversary, because this is 25th anniversary of this album too, by the way, which I didn't even know, but I guess so. Hey. And anyways, they asked the kid, they're like, so, like, did you like the album? Like, do you like Rage Against the Machine? And he's like, no. Like, I didn't connect with it. That's what his words were. So I was like, oh, wah, wah. Okay. It's like, no, you hated it, but you're on the cover of the album for all time. So,
Yeah.
you better like it.
To be honest, not one of my favorite covers.
No. I see.
Yeah.
I see what
I
they
didn't
were
get
doing.
it. I mean, I researched the artist, and I thought it had something to do with like, what they used as far as like communist propaganda.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like it's
like,
supposed to be like the
exactly. When you
white
look
face of like American
Yep.
imperialism and like all this
Yep.
deep kind
Right,
of stuff,
right.
man, that just goes way further than
Quote,
I can even
unquote,
go.
evil empire. And that's the thing with propaganda. It gets, oh, they are the evil empire. No, they are the evil empire.
It's a white kid
Yeah,
wearing a hockey jersey. I always thought he was wearing a
he
hockey
is.
jersey.
He is, man. That's what the Crime Buster.
Yeah.
That's what Crime Buster used to wear. He used to wear hockey jerseys. That is it.
Yeah.
It's hockey's fault.
There's your Canadian connection.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
Go
I'm
Bruins.
pretty sure they all got girlfriends or wives or whatever, and they're like, your next album, just tone it down, guys.
A little bit. Come on.
We don't need monks on fire and shit. Just like, go for an illustration.
A nice boy with a hockey jersey.
It goes back to the that movie This Is 40 with Paul Rudd, where he's
One of my favorites.
where he's in his room and he's talking to his wife about music and how music used to have meaning, but now it's getting diluted by low information music where it's fun and it's poppy and there's a beat to it that it doesn't matter what's happening, but it has the beat. And he puts on Alice in Chains, The Rooster, and he starts grooving like this is the greatest thing ever. And she's looking at him like that, but it's not fun.
No, he does like a sad like dance, like a
Yeah.
and the kids are just like that doesn't, and then they put on like
Missy Elliott
Cardi
or something.
B or some shit.
I have not seen this
Yeah,
movie.
that's just where
Oh,
it's not a great
have
movie, but it has its moments. So,
Yeah. I mean, like,
but that's it.
smoke a joint. I'll say, just smoke a joint and watch this movie. It's fantastic. it really puts shit in perspective. It's great. You'll be like, yeah, man, exactly.
This is life.
Like throughout the entire movie,
is
you'll
where
be
we're
like,
at.
yes, exactly.
The 40s. This is 40.
Rage Against the Machine till This Is 40. There it is. That's the full circle.
The message has been diluted. I mean, when you look at Rage, the message being to change things, and then you go to all these big political, you see these big political U.S. political rallies and and they're playing this song for a Republican Party either side, whatever, are playing a Rage song as their rally to their platform, and there's no context to it. It's lost. So
I guess. But you know what? It did spark my interest as a young fellow.
Definitely.
It did make me think about things
completely
critically.
life-changing.
Yeah, objectively. I did question the man. And then you just sort of
And now we're 40
carry
and
on.
we have bills.
But I think there's definitely value in things like this to stop you in your tracks and make you look around
100%.
once in a while. And I think it fully achieved this objective.
And at the right time too, right? And I think that's
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
at a time
exactly.
when we were very impressionable and we were like, oh, wait a second here. There's somebody controlling all this. And this is, we were kind of just keep cluing into all this kind of stuff, right? So again, another timely album that came out at that time where we were like, okay, it frames everything for you a little bit as a 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah. And something which isn't sponsored by so-and-so. I mean, when they played their massive concerts, I'm sure it was sponsored by Budweiser or whatever, but
Pepsi.
But when you listen to Rage Against the Machine, I mean, it was something that seemed pure.
Yeah.
It was, something
It
that
was
was
pure at the
rare,
time.
even back then. That gave you the ability to look at things objectively and consider things differently,
And research things was a
Yeah,
big thing. I mean,
absolutely.
when they say certain, or you dive into the lyrics, it makes you want to research into other angles and what is he talking about? I have to get educated.
Why is he
on
so
this.
angry?
Why is he so angry?
Yeah. Got to figure this out.
Smoke a joint, eat a pizza. Why is he so angry?
And then fast forward 15 years and we got Wikipedia. And they're like, oh, I get it.
It's
Okay,
Zapatistas, man. He's all about the Zapatista movement.
Yeah. Fuck. It's all
get it
fucked. Yeah, he's right. He was right.
He quit Rage to join the Zapatistas.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, the Wikipedia.
He just Wikipedia for 15 years.
I'm gonna make the executive decision to shut this podcast down right now because we need to end it so that you can go and enjoy One Day as a Lion. I don't really want to go any further on this because we've waited too long for you to experience it. So
It needs to happen. It's so good.
yeah. It's
Okay.
over.
That's it.
It's over. This is over. This podcast
it.
is over.
All right, we want you guys to subscribe, share, and review this podcast. Keep it going, keep it strong, because we're having a great time entertaining you guys with B-Sides and Beers podcast.